father used to play drums for Count Basie and Duke Ellington. My mother used to sing background for Ella Fitzgerald.
Wow.
And the DJing and music came from my brother Tony Poindexter, which was a DJ, local DJ in the neighborhood, playing steppers and R&B.
Okay.
And my brother Frank was a stepper, so I was always around, music with the family reunions and all this stuff. My brother used to play the music for the family and stuff, for get-togethers.
So you had music all around you.
Yes.
Did you play instruments, or did you, were you involved in music in that way?
No, I didn't know how to play the instruments, but I used to march with my father in the band. We used to march in 63rd and Halsted. They used to have a parade we used to go through every year, sometimes 3 or 4 times a year. And we was one of the main drum corps that went through.
Wow,
and we were him on that.
That's really interesting. And so, where'd you go to high school?
I went to Hyde Park for 1 day, and I left there and went to Cosmopolitan. I wanted to be a DJ, so my schooling, I had to change everything because I really wanted to be a DJ. A lot of people
at 12 and 13 years old, you knew you wanted to be a DJ.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
My brother had the equipment in our bedroom.
Because your brother was already, sort of playing step into it, and so you just knew that was what you wanted to do. So Cosmopolitan, where was Cosmopolitan?
Cosmopolitan was down on Randolph. 321 Randolph.
Really interesting. For some reason, I don't remember much about Cosmopolitan. That's really kind of interesting. So you went to Cosmopolitan because did it offer DJ classes, or what was the curriculum?
It's regular classes. Farley went there. John went there. There's a few other people. It's something similar like Jones Commercial, but it's a private school.
Got it. So that's really interesting. And so you just name dropped a few different people. So did you know them there, or did you all collaborate there, or how did sort of?
No, me and John went to O'Keefe together.
Okay.
And I just Farley's story that he had he went to Cosmopolitan. I looked up like, oh, okay, you did go to Cosmopolitan. Then find out down the line, my wife and Farley are cousins.
Interesting. We got to get to that story. Did they not know each other, or did you know they knew each other?
No, they didn't really know each other until they went to the Uncle House out west, and that's when everything started clicking in.
Golly geez, interesting. Okay, so you go to Cosmopolitan. So what are you learning there, and what's going on? What brings you into the scene, or were you in the scene? What years were you at Cosmopolitan?
Cosmopolitan, I was in Cosmopolitan in like 79, 80. It was 80.
So you were there from 80 to 84?
Nah, Cosmopolitan, like you can get out in like 6 to 12 months.
Oh, wow.
I wanted the quick way out so I could be a DJ. This is what I wanted to do because the DJing part, my father had told me that there wasn't no career in it. And I wanted to prove him not wrong, but to show him I could make it in this business. He's like, you need to find something else to do. You need to be an electrician or something like that, or do something else. I said, no, that ain't what I have in my heart. I said, I got to follow my footsteps where I want to go and where I see the light at. So,
wow, that's really brave of you to, have that kind of tenacity to say, look, Dad, I know what I want to do, and I know I can make it in that industry. So that's fantastic. I'm happy you were able to do that. So you're at Cosmopolitan, you get out in a year. And then, so what are you doing? So talk to me about then, how you decide to become a DJ. What is it that you're doing? How are you hooked up with who?
Okay, from the time that I was in grammar school, Mendel was going on. And there was local parties. Well, my brother, I kept hearing him say he was going to Mendel to help Kurt. And I'm like, what is this Mendel? I just hear it every week. And I'm sitting there like, okay, one day I'm going to ask, could I go with him? And my brother Kurt and Tony and Ken Samuels, which was Fox Player Sound at that time. He switched over to Wall. So Ken stayed down the street, a couple of blocks over, on Oak Street, 70th and Oak Street. We were at 67th and Merle. So my brother and Ken finally hooked up from my sister-in-law. Ken was a member of Fox Players. She was the vice president. And my brother finally got with him, and they started doing, a lot of parties, like stepper parties. And they were doing the Roberts 500 room used to be on 63rd, right off Cottage. They were over there sitting. And he said him and Kurt, got in touch with each other. Kurt came over a couple of times and told him that he was doing mentoring stuff, introducing himself to him about what was going on. And he said he was having some problems with the equipment. So my brother came back, and I heard him talking about my brother. Tony came back to the house, and I heard him talking to my brother Frank. He said, I'm going to take the job with Kurt, and I'm going to leave the Roberts, and I just have somebody spin over there until we leave Mendel, because Mendel's only going to be like at 12 o'clock. So I'm listening, I'm like, okay. So I say about 6 months into it, I asked him, I said, can I go with y'all to Mendel one night? He said, you too young.
How old were you? Were you 13, 14?
No, I was 10 years old. So I got in, I was like, okay, I'm asked one more time. I waited for a little while, asked again. And they're like, yeah, we're going to take you up there because it's a high school and they should, shouldn't say nothing if you have to bring the equipment in. So I done my dues, carried the equipment in, helped them out. And I got introduced to Kurt,
That's Kirk Townsend, Mendel legend, yes.
Yes. That's my boy. He's like a brother to me.
Good. So at 10 years old, you're interacting with Kirk Townsend.
Yes. We talked, but I wasn't DJing yet. I was getting ready to because I was into it. My brother didn't know that I was at home practicing on his equipment, just playing records. I'm playing records, that I like, and I used to have our own parties and stuff, for the family. So I'm playing them. So we kept doing the sound rooms every Saturday night. And one night, my brother was talking to me. He said, I see you in a room playing music. You think you can DJ? And I was like, yeah, I can DJ. I know I can. So he's like, okay, I'm going to start taking out some of this stuff, sets with me, and we're going to try it. So he done a couple of basement parties. I went with him, and I played some music, and people were like, okay, we're going to try it at Mendel with Kurt. So I knew the selection of music with my brother Frank being a stepper. So I used to know all the different music, and Ken had the music, and Tony had music. So once I got into their crates, it was like a new world because they had so much of it. But I found my way through it because they was labeling the albums, which side to play. They hadn't done no beat counts to it yet, but they was just telling what you go in there and play. I'm like, okay, I can play that. So I just started playing some of the music when they would get tired, then I'll start playing some of the music. So started noticing the crowd. They were watching. I'm like, I like this feeling. Kind of nervous. I'm nervous. I'm like, okay, but I like the feeling. So a couple of weeks went in, and we just kept on, advancing with it. So I said the following year, I really got off into, playing. And it went from the scenery was changing. It was going from R&B and stepper music over into the disco, which some of the stepper records was like disco records and stuff.
Right.
So I started playing disco records. But my brother didn't know I was at home trying to match these beats together to make these records play. And then I say, in the summer, I started playing at Mendel. I was really into it. I started playing, and we started playing more disco. And I was into it. I'm like, okay, LTD. I used to play Cameo, Slave, all that stuff like that. Bob James 4, James Brown, some everything. So my era, I came from steppers, R&B, disco, punk rock, into house, and into techno and tech house.
Interesting.
So that's my
you got to see all of that era, those eras sort of come together. That is kind of that whole sort of the in-between era, that between 78 and 80 as a young person. The warehouse is going, but we're still really mixing disco, R&B, funk. We're sort of bringing that together to create these sounds. Yes. And so you're there for all of it. So your musical knowledge is just off the crazy at 10, 11, 12 years old. That's
and that was the thing. Yeah. Kurt and my brother was, saying, hey, for the younger people that couldn't make it to the warehouse and none of that, we bought the warehouse to Mendel. So mainly what Frankie was playing, we was playing.
Right, right.
So
that is amazing. That is really something. Okay, so you're playing for Kirk Townsend, and you're very young. You get out of school. How long did you play at Mendel, and what was your next? So I'm assuming, so besides playing for the family, Mendel was your first real gig.
yes.
Did you get paid?
Yes.
What'd you get paid?
I got $125 every
Are you
Saturday.
kidding me?
It started off with 75, and then it went up to 125.
Okay, how old were you?
When I really started getting paid, I was like 12, 13. But I started getting other parties from other schools too, other Catholic schools.
Okay.
Lindo opened the doors, and me and Kirk, we was traveling. And some of the time we would be Wayne Williams, me and Wayne and Kirk. We was moving around, we was doing a lot of stuff, and my brother Tony. So we was doing Mother McCauley, St. Thomas, Unity, Aquinas. We had Mount Carmel, Leo, Brother Rice sometime. And then later on down the line, we picked up Cathedral and Quigley South, Quigley North. And then we started doing like this, the local schools, South Shore, Simeon, CVS, different ones. We had a whole lot of high schools.
So you did the whole high school flow. You did the Catholic school flow, man. You were like the preferred DJ for all of those things. And so Kurt had all the equipment. You were doing the DJing. Who else was in the crew?
Well, Kurt, he had his sound system.
Right.
And Ken had majority of all the equipment from Fox players. Ken had he had more powerful equipment. And he had different sound systems. So I'll say like Kurt had the one system, Ken had like 7.
Wow.
And then Kurt hooked up with Fred Woods, and it built the sounds. More. Fred had built sound systems. And Ken was with Bob Simmons, which is John Simmons' father. They were our partners. John Simmons' father, Bob, was the president of Fox Players. Me and my brother Tony got into Fox Players, and we were the youngest one. They had never had nobody younger than my brother. Then I got in. When I got in Fox Players, I think I was at 15, 16.
Wow.
And I was spinning at clubs like Dingbats, Burning Spear used to be on Stony Island, which is called a high chaparral. And I'm a young guy spinning at adult parties. The police used to come in and be like, who is that PKP? And it's like, he's a DJ. So
they let you stay?
Yeah, they would let me stay. Just tell them, hey, y'all got to keep them back. They can't be around no alcohol. And that's probably why I don't drink today. I don't drink gospel.
Very good. That's a good. That doesn't happen often, but that's very good. That's awesome. All right, so you are now 15, 16. You're spinning all over the city, it appears. All over, from adult clubs to Catholic schools. And you're getting paid, give me again, how much a night? So your first gig, you're getting paid $75, $125, $150. Is that increasing, or, what's happening at 15, 16?
It stayed like that for a couple of years, and then it started, the crowd got bigger, got more money. When we started the dial-up at Mendel, everything started picking up. So we was getting like, the upstairs was getting so packed, we had to open the downstairs. One day we had an extra sound system, and Kurt had talked to the brothers at Mendel, I think it was Brother Pro, and they decided to open the basement level. And we had an extra system with us anyway, and put it in and split the DJs. So we started off with the bi-level. That night was amazing. We went from 800 people within a couple of weeks to 2,500.
Wow.
It used to get so hot in there, if you was in the basement, you had to have an umbrella over top of your head as you was DJing because the sweat was pouring down on the records.
Well, I went to Mendel. I mean, I was at the Mendel flow probably from 81 to 85, consistently. And, I can attest to the heat. I'm not familiar with anything raining down on me, because that would not have been cool.
Yeah, it was packed because sometimes it was something about at one point they might shut the basement down, but the fathers had talked to the police that was there, and they opened the side doors to let air get in.
Right.
And at that time, we didn't have cue systems on the mixers. Ken Samuels had built the cue system, so you could only listen to that one record. You couldn't do nothing else. We had a cue system. I ain't got the pictures. I had the pictures. I'll send them to you. I could get them. He had a PA horn with a little bitty Radio Shack amp hooked up to it. We had a Panasonic mixer with the levels, and we used to have to listen to the record, back cue it. You can hear it. The crowd can hear us back cueing the record to get ready to bump mix into the next record.
That's amazing.
Yeah, a few years later, that's when they come out. That's when they came out with Clubman. Wayne Williams brought the Clubman one mixer up to Mendel, and he let Ken use his mixer, and they hooked it up, and we had the double Qs on it. That was a couple of years later, and that's when everything just went in effect. We started beat counting records and everything, putting the beat counts on the album with little stickers and everything.
Yes, I remember those days when I would see that. I was a DJ at WNUR. I wasn't mixing, but I always saw the comments and the notes on all of the records that we got. So you're spinning Mendel parties, you're spinning all over the city. At what point does the DJ become a party promoter?
Well, is that Mendel and John and J.R. Deontay had hooked up. And they was doing the rink, which was the loop, I think, at that time. And I noticed, I'm like, cuz he making money, they making money throwing these parties. And I'm like, DJing making good money, but it's more money when you become the promoter. And then you have, you can say yes or no to certain things. DJ, you just gotta play your music.
Right, exactly.
Okay, yeah. And then with the promotion, I could introduce myself to the crowd and mingle.
That's true.
A little bit more. So I wanted to get into the promotion with my cousin, and that's when we started. A few years, I got to go back into DJing, but I wanted to be a promoter and a producer. So I wanted to make the big money.
So, why not? Why not? That is the big money. So talk to me again. So you said you just hooked up with your cousin, says we're going to now starting our own events. And so What was your first event?
Our first event, I don't remember. I know we opened a little club in South Shore area on Exchange. It was called The Loft. It was on the second floor. We had started doing local parties in the neighborhood, making money. And like I say, John and they were still doing the loop and stuff. It switched over to the ring. And then we threw a party at the South Shore YMCA right there on 71st Constance. Okay. And we just started from there. That's where it just started taking over.
So your first party, how many people were there?
Our first party, the neighborhood came out. I'd say we probably got up to like 100 people. They started coming out weekly on us. And from there, we picked up we were still doing Mendel with Kurt and Fred. Ken had moved on. And Kurt and Fred was doing stuff together, and we still hooked up with them doing stuff. And somebody offered us a spot, and I went to go check it out. And the spot was on 75th and Saginaw, I think it is. That's when the owner, his name is Mr. Sparks. He gave me the keys to the second floor, and I opened up the club called the Pleasure Dome.
Got it.
So me, John Hunt, Kurt Townsend, and Fred Woods. Mendel had kind of started slowing down. We took the big earthquake 7-foot cabinets from Mendel, which we was going to put them somewhere, store them somewhere, and we put them in the Pleasure Dome. So we had earthquakes in the Pleasure Dome, and we made our DJ booth, and we really took off from there. The Pleasure Dome was like the music box and the warehouse together.
Oh, that's serious.
A lot of DJs came through. Andre Hatchett, Ferris was one of the main DJs. Gene Hunt came through. Frankie Knuckles played there. Ron Hardy had played there because a lot of people said Ronnie wasn't going to lead the boxing come up, but me and Ronnie and John, we were tight.
Nice.
Me, Frankie, and John, we were tight. So that's when we really got on 52. We had to promote our own spot. And then it just started moving. And we started throwing parties at the South Shore Country Club. And then me, John, my cousin John, his wife, ex-wife Ursula, and we put Gucci Promotions together.
Okay. So you're just promoting, you're just creating events with your cousin John, and it's just basically both of you. And then you decide to put together Gucci Productions. Why Gucci Productions? Why would you name it Gucci?
Well, that was something John came up with. Well, for them at Pleasure Dome, we called ourselves Men in High Rank.
You called yourself what?
Men in the High Rank.
Oh Lord, Men in High Rank. Okay.
So we went from that, and then John came up with the name Gucci, and we started Gucci Promotions, and we rolled with that for some years, and it done real good. And
so you all were like totally the flow. I mean, again, people like the great thing is that we never knew your names. Like most people didn't. We're like, we're going to this Gucci party. We didn't know who you all were. We just going to the Gucci party. So it was like a big deal. Like you all were a super big deal. I'm gonna try to pull up some information here. Let's see if I can get it to go. It may or may not actually go, but we'll see. If it doesn't, I'll try another way. But, what I did was I tried to, I'm going to stop for a second and try to do it another way. What we did is we found some flyers, some old flyers. I'm so sorry I did not. I have one with the Pleasure Dome. I have another flyer with the Pleasure Dome on there, but I don't think unfortunately, I did not put it in the thing, which sucks, but I'm going to try something else here. So I'm going to
I played at the Pleasure Dome a lot, but I mainly wanted to promote my DJs. Ferris, like I said, my main DJs at the Pleasure Dome that I depended on was Ferris, what me and John went through, and Andre Hatchett, then it was Gene, and then Anton Williams. He was a local that stayed in the neighborhood.
Okay, got it. All right.
Then we just started revolving with different DJs. Yeah.
Here is an 88 Gucci promotion party. You've got Ron, Lil Lewis, Gene, Mike.
Yeah.
Talk to me. What do you remember about that 1980? Do you remember anything about being at the Hyde Park Athletic Club? How many parties did you have there?
Hyde Park Athletic Club, I think we had about, there was nothing under like 40 parties. It was over 40.
Wow.
We had a good run in the Hyde Park Athletic Club.
That was a nice, I mean, again, everyone wanted to be at those parties at that time. And so, you know what? So this is a Gene Hunt flyer. He allowed us to honor him some time ago, and so we have a lot of his memorabilia. So talk to me about Mike. What Mike is this that's on this flyer?
That's Mike Williams. He stayed down the street from me and John on Murder.
Interesting. I want to interview Mike Williams. Is Mike Williams still around?
Yes, he's still around. I can get in touch with him for you.
I would love to talk to him. Maybe the both of us can interview him. I would love to talk to him. So here's a 1995 plugger that has Roy Davis, Armando, and Steve Poindexter on there, and a few other people. But this is, it looks like a lot's going on at this particular event. Tell me about, do you know anything about this?
Yeah, that's Jack the Nation. That was a rave party. That was underground. Yeah, that was an underground party.
Because I see we got Detroit, we got Chicago's underground. There's all kinds of stuff going on here.
Yeah. That was a big party, too. Jack the Nation was big.
So here's something with Gucci and Roy Bryant. Roy Bryant. At the Powerhouse.
Yes.
And you've got Lolita Holloway here, who is Love Sensation, Hit and Run. May she rest in peace. And I would like to, at some point, have a discussion about her and her history. Gene Hunt says that's his cousin.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was interesting to find out. So you're putting together Memorial Day events. What do you remember about this, having sort of live events where people are actually performing?
Well, the live events to me, it brings out the crowd because you get to see the artists in person. And that was some of the things we was trying to do. We wanted our DJs to be just as big as an artist. That's what me and John was looking at. We could bill our DJs to draw the crowd, like some of the artists that they playing their music. It would be good. It would be even better to combine them both together, artists and DJs with promoters. Do you have the flyer for Navy Pier with Lolita Holloway in 10 City?
I do. Here's your Mendel High School, Gucci, and Galaxy, and we'll talk about that a little later. Here's the Navy Pier, 1987.
That was the party.
Yeah, I see. We got Park Avenue Promotions, Galaxy, and Gucci, but then y'all got 10 City performing, Lolita Holloway, 10 City from Detroit. You got some Detroit people in there. I mean, and you got all the major DJs. You got
Steve Hurley. There was Steve Hurley and Keith Netley. They performed too.
Got it. Yeah. So we got Steve, Farley, Ron, Frankie, Ferris. Oh, so you got some DJ battles to a certain degree.
But it wasn't a battle. It was just a big. That was one of the biggest house gatherings in Chicago at Navy Pier in the main ballroom. We packed the ballroom. They tried to shut us down. So they said that ballroom holds 10,000 people. We done it. All the promotions. Those are all our promotional brothers, the groups. We all came together. Even Farley was on there as a promotional.
Yep, we see that. You got all the people on there. So I saw a bunch of events. So again, here we got, Galaxy Promotions, which is DeAndre and Mike Williams, Gucci,
yes,
Park Avenue. So why did you all decide to do this together? And, I see there's a lot of sort of Galaxy, Gucci, sort of events that I saw. But why are you doing, what made you bring all of these promotion teams together?
Wanted to bring all of Chicago out, South Side, North Side, every area. We wanted to bring everybody out, and each one of those promotional groups were known in different sides, different parts of the city. Some of them came from the same area, like Galaxy came from where we was at, but we all from different crowds, and with us all together, we can put out more promotion and hang posters throughout the whole city, from the south suburbs into the north, up into Everson.
So you're all over the place. Yeah, that sounds like a great party. So talk to me about booking Navy Pier. Who decided they were going to book Navy Pier?
We had a meeting. All the promotional companies came together, and we had a big meeting, and we was trying to find the right spot. McCormick was mentioned, but I think the pricing wasn't right. Navy Pier gave us a good deal, so that's why we went to the Pier, and it worked better that way. We even had to use, there were so many people, we had to hire school buses to bring the people from the front of the gate all the way back to the back. You could walk back there, but you know how long that walk is.
That's a long walk.
We had chartered buses, and plus it was cold outside too.
That is something. Do you remember anything about what you paid to book Navy Pier and what you had to do? Did you have insurances, or they just, at that time in 1987, they were just like, yo, come on in?
Yeah, I think we had an insurance policy. I don't remember, because some of the meetings I didn't get to make it to, but John went to them. But I know we had insurance because we had a couple of little incidents, but everything got straight.
Interesting.
Yeah, that room at that point in time, they didn't want too many people down at Navy Pier because they didn't know what it was. They didn't know what type of crowd we were bringing out.
Right.
They looked at the young adults as being the wrong crowd, instead of moms and pops.
Right.
So
yeah.
They gave us a chance, and we showed them that we could do it without any incidents, without big incidents. You always gonna have your little small incident, but our security took care of that.
So by 1987, how old are you in 1987?
My man's kind of messed up right now.
When were you born?
63.
63. So in 1987, you are 24 something years old.
24, yeah.
Yeah, so 20-something years old, and you're booking Navy Pier, um, promoting with the team of, young people, essentially, it sounds like. It was at age 24, you envisioned your life already as DJ. You knew you wanted to be a DJ. It now has, sort of morphed into promotion. Is that how were you thinking? What were you thinking around that time? Like, was that the pinnacle? You just like, I am on fire. What was going through your head at that age and sort of booking that kind of event?
Mainly, we want we was in that neighborhood so much. Everybody in South Shore knew us. There was something to do and get out the neighborhood, do adventures, and to bring our neighborhood out in other neighborhoods where people could meet each other. Or somebody told me, hey, I had a fight with them people, but you come to our parties, it was peace. Y'all can get along. We was trying to introduce you to the music, for you to understand. Some guys were saying, house music down for the gay crowd and all this. We had to show them, no, you got to come and check these parties out because there's beautiful women, and if the women are there, and they want to know, it's nice guys. So let's put this together and try something new. And the thing about us, we weren't scared, but the city was turning us down on a lot of events that we was trying to, do because they looked at us as being, 20-some years old, that we didn't have control. So, we ran into a lot of landslides, but we made it out of it.
And I think that's, things are starting to change a little bit around that time because, of course, I think here in Washington, with being a Black mayor, people are starting to change a little bit. And I think we had a lot more confidence in ourselves to be as bold as possible and book different places. I'll go back just a little bit and talk a little bit. I mean, oftentimes we're not always talking about, when we talk about house music, we talk about the soulfulness, we talk about the peace and the love and sort of the types of events that you have. That we have when there's house music being played. And there's no issues. Everyone's just having a good time, dancing, sweating, whatever they're going to do. But oftentimes depending on who I'm talking to, we don't always discuss sort of what's happening around sort of the gay community and the music, because there was some discrimination from certainly from their point of view. Sometimes I think if you're not gay, maybe you don't see it, and maybe we didn't see it. I didn't see it, it never crossed my mind that people were discriminating against others and people had a problem with the music sometimes. But I guess there was. Tell me a little bit about sort of your memories of some people being concerned about this being, sort of gay music, or what they felt about that, and how I'm sure it dissipated very quickly, because if you wanted to party, you was going to have to be there. But talk to me a little bit about what you remember about sort of those types of discussions.
Yeah, some of the people would come to our parties. Mainly it was locals, and they were from the neighborhood, from the hood neighborhood,
Right.
And they would come out, and we would have certain ones be like, "Hey, man, I don't like partying because this person, he's acting, gay. Dude, he ain't bothering you. He's minding his business in his own world. This is free. This house music is open for anybody, whatever race, whatever gender, whatever. It's open." And that's what we was trying to show everybody. And we had some problems sometimes, a guy, hey, he dancing too close to me. Man, calm down. The man is with who he want to be with. He's not bothering you. And down the line, some of the guys that was kind of, acting out became friends with these people because they found out, hey, they just like me. We just out here it's free. It's just open. I can come in tonight and dance the way I want to, take my shirt off, sweat it up. It's a workout.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what we had. We was telling everybody, when you come to our parties, come to experience something new in life. Exactly. A Gucci party was a good party.
And so that, I think that's really cool. And I'm happy to at least express that. If Lori was on the line, my co-host who's not here today, she would love to, sort of hear some of those types of experiences and how easy I believe it was to make people sort of turn their thinking around.
Yes.
A little bit. So I always felt like Chicago had a more open community. Certainly, I think sort of in that era. Maybe very early on, then there were some people who might have had some issues. But I think eventually we were all like, look, if we want to dance, we want to party. We don't care as long as we're going to do our thing. Half the time you couldn't see what was going on anyway in some of these clubs. It was so dark. You had smoke going on. How you got time to be looking at what other people doing? If you're enjoying the music, you're enjoying the music. So.
That's right.
So that's interesting. So you're booking. So how long was Gucci Productions in production? Is it still going on?
John is still running Gucci. Gucci went from, let's see, we started Gucci in, I think, 90, 89, 90, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still going on today. But we split off. And that's when me, Terry, and Brian Harris, Terry Hunter and Brian Harris, we started the Bad Boys, Chicago Bad Boys.
And so what was the Chicago Bad Boys?
It was a production company. Mainly, a lot of the guys that was in it was producers, music producers, and it was a promotional company. That's when we started picking up. We picked up different DJs. We had picked up Armando. We had Gene Hunt with us all the time. Ferris was around. Ron Carroll, and we were still using Andre. And we used Rush, DJ Rush, Roy Davis, different ones we was bringing in, into the group. We had put certain DJs we had picked up and put in. We would vote on it, who was getting in the group and who wasn't. I was the president. Terry and Brian Harris, vice presidents. So we had two vice presidents, and then Mondo came in, and he would just hold the board with us. So we had these meetings that just go through us. The nays win, or the yays win, So we had Robert Amani. Who else was in there? There was a lot of promoters. We had a lot of promoters. We picked guys from the south suburbs, up north, out west to be part of the Bad Boys. And we put these jackets together. John Willis was a bad boy. We had a barber shop on 71st in between Paxton and Llewellyn. And that was the Bad Boys headquarters. We would go there and put posters and stuff, cut the posters and, drill holes in them, put the wires in them to do our, promotion for that night, big party that was coming up. And that organization, like I say, we were DJing, throwing parties at the Bismarck, Holiday Inn. We had a awards party that we done down at the Marriott, the Chicago House Music Awards. We went to some of the big hotels downtown. We went through a lot of those. And the Bad Boys, the Bad Boys even done rap concert. We promoted for other promoters. So we took it to another level. And we promoted rap concerts like Eric B, Too Short, Ice-T, and all that was, coming in doing a promotion for Al Kennedy.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna do one more little thing here if I can get it to go. I wanna talk a little bit. You mentioned Armando. Before we get to this, which oops, I'm sorry. Before we get to that, hold on. Before we get to that, I do want to talk a little bit about Armando. So talk to me a little bit about who Armando was, how you met Armando, and what happened to Armando.
I met Armando through, I think it was Terry. We used to all go to the Hummingbird in General Persuasion. And that's where Armando, he was throwing parties over at Hummingbird in General Persuasion. And we went over and was talking to him, and we started, doing, events with him. And then we finally asked him to become a Chicago Bad Boy. And he got in, he's like, yeah, okay, I like that group, so let's all get together and, do some things. And Armando had a record label, which was Warehouse Music.
Okay.
I had, I played his records, and he was playing some of my records and some of Terry's stuff that Terry had made. Me and Terry had put records out on Gherkin, Track Records, different labels. And I talked to Terry and Brian, and we had a meeting, and we wanted to see about doing some bigger events. But we knew Armando was a promoter by himself, a force to be reckoned with, because Armando would go out and hang 1,000 posters with him and Joe Louis. And we was like, we need somebody that got that work effort, you know, that do the same thing we would do, you know, and stay up to 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, traffic still coming down the streets, you out there hanging posters. We need another crew. So Armando had Robert Amani, Joe Louis, Dave. He had a nice crew with him. So we all combined and all of them became Chicago Bad Boys. And we just opened up the doors from that point with Armando with us. And we went from the Hummingbird into the bigger clubs and into the ballrooms downtown. We had a vision, hey, we can take this to another level. And at the same time, we taking it to another level with the promotion. Me and Armando was changing. Some people say we changed the scene in the music. With the type of music we, Armando and Terry was putting out. In Gene, we started, you know, doing more of you know, the street tracks, which were the party tracks at the clubs, which nowadays they call them the booty tracks, but that was the house tracks back then. Everybody got a name for it, but back then those were the house party tracks that kept the crowd moving.
Right, exactly.
So, Armando had a lot of stuff going. He had a lot to offer, and me, him, and Brian and Terry, we became we were like brothers. You know, we would spend the night over each other, you know, different houses to, you know, get this promotion and put these parties together. And all the time, we didn't know that Armando was sick. You know, he never told us, you know, but we were still partying, doing what we were doing. And he never showed no, you know, symptoms of him being sick. Once in a while, he'd, you know, come down with a cold or something like that, and he'd still be out promoting. He put out a lot of records. He opened up another label, it was called Music Records, and I put something out on that. That was the Work That Mud album, and I put out a couple more things on music, and we just grew up from there with Ray Barney, you know, doing our distribution for us, and we just kept it going. Armando, we finally found out he hereditary cancer. His father had from cancer, and he passed from cancer. But I forgot what type of cancer he had. But it really took effect on him because he was traveling. You know, we was going overseas a lot, and it took effect on him, I guess, with him traveling so much. And one day he got back, and they was like, Armando got sick when he was overseas. We were like, what? And we talked to him a couple of times. He was in the hospital, but he got better. And then a little while later, he started getting sick, and we was trying to find out what was really going on. And went over to the mother house, and she, you know, told us what happened, you know, what was going on with him. And that's a good brother. Good brother.
Well, I've heard some things about him. He went to Lynn Bloom, my high school, and, you know, I don't think I got to know him. So I was really I really want to find out. I want to do a more in-depth discussion about who he was, you know, all the different places that he played. And so you bring up another sort of interesting subject. So you're a DJ, you're a promoter, and now you're, now you're sort of getting involved in sort of working overseas. What were you doing? What was your first sort of overseas trip that surrounded music?
My first overseas trip was I got booked for a party called the Love Parade. They go from one country to I think it's 12 countries.
Oh my goodness!
And I'd never been on an airplane, so we had a winter storm when it first kicked out. I think it was 90. It was a bad winter storm, so I missed the first part of the tour because it was in December. I was supposed to left out on the 26th. I didn't get to leave out to the 27th. And when I got over there, like I said, it was my first time on a plane. I'm scared. I'm like, hey, what's going on? But I wanted to go there because I wanted to meet people. They say, hey, you got a lot of fans here. I wanted to meet the different, you know, nationalities and see how they relate to our music. Because Armando was telling me, and Terry, you know, they was all, you know, hey, this is what's going on, you know. So I got over there, I done the Love Parade, and those parties over there, every arena I went into, the crowds was outrageous. I had spent for big crowds, you know, 2,500, a couple of thousand, maybe 5,000. But you start saying 50, my heart was going like this, 50,000, and that was in a country, the country of Sarah Brooklyn. think that's how it's pronounced. And I went from Saarbrücken to Frankfurt, Germany, to Munich, Germany, to Manchester, to Leeds, England, uh, Rotterdam, Cologne, and into Amsterdam.
Wow.
The crowd, the biggest crowd I've seen, we were inside of a car factory. I think it was Opel company, Pier Opel. Pier didn't make it, but it's Opel from overseas. And they said it was 100,000 people. They had 4 tents set up, and they had the inside set up. And we was on a scaffold that was like maybe 2 stories up. And I got the plan, and I thought the crowd liked my music selection. And I didn't know, I wasn't paying no attention when I came in that they had the screens because I had never seen the visuals. And it was like, the crowd was jumping in the scaffold, the concrete floor was shaking, so it was making the records jump. And I think they doing it on purpose. So I threw the headphones down, and I was with this the lady that owned DJ's Records. Her name is Saskia. I was with her, and she's like, "Steve, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm about to get off of here because they don't like it." She said, "No, turn around, look." And I looked back. She said, "Your name is up there. They trying to, holler your name out." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So that energized me. Pick the headphones back up. They thought that throwing the headphones down was part of the show. Yeah, but I'm looking like, hey, they're not into me, so I got to change the music or somebody else needs to come up and play. So I started playing, and at that time, we was moving the EQs already. So they hadn't seen none of that. So I started playing with the EQ and took the crowd. And she was like, "Give it to him, Steve." And I done my job. I actually spent for 3 hours when I was only supposed to play for 1. But they offered the money, and I was like, "Hey, you know how much I charge for an hour? And it's not cheap for me to come here. But if you want to pay me for those hours, I'll do it, and I'll give you a discount on it."
So you have crowds like that. I always wonder, I just talked to Robert Owens in Berlin, and he spent half his life, more than half of his life in Europe.
Yes.
When you have crowds like that and you have that kind of adoration, you see the money that can be made. Why come back to Chicago?
Well, my thing, I want to tell you, when they booked me, they would book me for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But me, my family was still here. I'm still trying to work and do stuff here and do studio. So I would leave out on a Thursday, but I had to be back Monday. So it's costing the promoters more money for me to come home instead of me staying, but I didn't want to stay. I got homesick. So I was like, you got to be back Monday, which would be Sunday. I got to be coming in Monday morning. So I would travel like that. And I thought about staying in England at one point when I had got a residence in Leeds, England. I forgot the name of the club, but I won't forget it. It's got 2 or 3 stories inside of it. It was nice.
Oh, wow.
And I got offered, a nice, job, but Chicago, where it started at. So I'm like, gotta stay here. I can make the money and do the trips, And if it, like now with the pandemic, you can pay me to do Zoom, however you want to do it, I'll do that. But right now, Chicago.
Got it. Yeah, I always wonder about that because, from what I hear, and I have not, I've been to Europe several times and to many clubs, but I've not traveled there specifically with house music Chicago DJs. I see the kind of love that house music receives. It's mixed with everything and every other genre, and, people love the DJs. And the music. And so I wonder why, I always wonder, like, why you would come back to a place like Chicago. I think we have this sort of, anyway, I'm always interested in like why some people flourish and do well. Like Frankie flourished and did extremely well there. He's a national treasure there. National treasure here too, but you can, it's just a different vibe, just a different world. And, and I feel like in Chicago, I think house music, we're so used to it, and we so and love all of you. You don't get the kind of admiration that you get every place else. So
yeah, like I said, I like DJ Rush. He stayed over. Marshall had been there for a long time. Residence. Tyree was residence over there. Staying. My family. I was more, like I say, homesick. And at that time, when I first started going over, my mother, she was older, so I was mama's boy, so I was coming home to make sure my mother was okay.
I hear a lot of that too. I hear a lot of male DJs say, "Well, something happened, and I had to go home and take care of my mom." I'm like,
Yes.
and some people it derailed their whole careers. In fact, it was when I think about, although he kind of wanted to maybe derail his career. There's a gentleman named T. Shab Lee who used to go to Northwestern and had a radio show on WNUR, and
Okay.
he was doing a lot of work with Tyree Cooper, and he was promoting things like that, and something happened, and I guess he just stopped and went and took care of his parents. I was like, wow, that's amazing. Okay, so thank you so much for talking about Armando for me, and at some other point, I definitely want to put something together where a bunch of people can talk about him and what they remember about his contributions to house music.
I can get you to his best friends, to his high school buddies, Joe Lewis and Dave. And his cousin is in the music business too. Got his name, but I got him on my Instagram.
Okay, yeah, please. I definitely want to chit chat with them. Joe Lewis. See, that name sounds familiar. They all had to have gone to Limblom. But anyway, okay, so you are now. So talk to me about which I don't know why it takes forever for me to hop on. I wonder if this is going to go now. I'm sorry, I'm now sharing the screen, which I'm hoping we can get back to quickly. So talk to me about so you're, so again, you sort of run the gamut of being a house music professional. You start off as a 10-year-old DJ. You go into creating several types of promotions organizations, because this is then becomes the business of house. And then now you're making records. Why would you want to create and produce a record?
I was around different artists that were making music, and Jesse Sanders, he had done some things, and with that music that he was putting out, we was playing his music and playing other artists, and I'm like, I'm into this. I can do this too. Jesse was a big influence on Fonz music, making music. That's when he had the group Just Say, and I was, like I said, my father, with the bands and stuff that he was in. So I always liked the drums. And my father always told me, he said, every drummer has his own pattern. He says, we're going to do this, get you a pattern. And I said, yeah, the pattern for me is my bass drum and my hi-hats. And no different other little instruments. And my father, like I say, he was like, well, you still try. He had changed his mind about my story, about DJing when I started going overseas. He got to see me go overseas and come back, and after that he passed. But he was like, son, you made a believer out of me. And I just kept on going. My mother always back. So that's what kept me going. And I just wanted to be a producer. I got, seemed like different guys making the music, and it was coming out the same community.
What's up, House Music fam? What's up, WNUR? We are doing several things at the same time here, promoting live at the WNUR studios. We want to thank Steve Poindexter for this fantastic interview. We're going to continue with this interview on Twitch. Tomorrow we're going to put it on Twitch, the entire interview with Steve Poindexter. We are at the WNUR studios again. We are really trying to do our best to add some flavor to our Vintage House Show. We are back in studio, I think, for the rest of the year after a year of being remote. So, guys, thank you all so much for tuning into the Vintage House Show. We've got a new host and ideas for the spotlight and some guest resident DJs. And Lori and Kevin will be back at the end of April and the beginning of May with some new shows with some fantastic guests. Please keep it locked. The Vintage House Show, WNUR 89.3 FM. Check us out. Don't miss out on the things that we're up to, the things that we're doing. And we've got a fantastic new lineup for the Street Beat. Who is here today? Talk to me about what's your name? Give me some info.
My name is Monty. That's my DJ name. Jake Montgomery. I'm a senior at Northwestern, and I've had this show for 4 years. It's my last year, so exciting. Yeah.
Congratulations! Congratulations!
Thank you.
So, team, if you all can see me, I don't know what I have this on now, but guys, if you all can see me, I know I just messed it up beforehand, but guys, keep it locked on WNUR. You will hear more from us this week about the lineup for the spring and summer of 2021. Let's keep it locked on WNUR 89.3 FM and HD, Evanston, Chicago. Check us out on Twitch. Have a good night.
How's it feel to be back in the station?
Not bad. Are you up or no? Because I can put you up behind you.
Let's see. This has been an issue in the past.
There you go.
Should be in the past.
I'll put it up for you once you're